All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in this vast world it is that you may or may not happen to be. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayers live page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. I hope all of you are having a wonderful start to your weekend. I most definitely am. Over here, I woke up very early this morning. I've been waking up early for the most part over the past week or so, and I feel really good about that. I hope that this is a pattern that I can maintain as I travel back toward the city. I'm not going back to the city just yet, but it's going to be soon. And a part of me is looking forward to it. For those who are not aware, right now I'm in a very remote location in the desert area, which is one of my favorite places to be. Um, I've spent more time out here than I anticipated, but I needed to because I really wanted to get myself into a solid, healthy, positive, productive, and stable state of mind before getting into the holiday season. Now, next year, I probably will be spending more time again in some remote locations, not only on the west side of the country, but toward the middle of the US. And there's one spot toward the east side of the country that I do want to spend some time in. But I am so grateful to be able to be as far out remotely as I'm able to get at this stage because I am the kind of person who at times just needs to be away from people, civilization. I need to be able to yell and scream and have nobody hear me. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. So, again, this morning I woke up early, got quite a bit done this morning before I had to go and run some errands. Just completed those tasks. Now I'm here to do my daily Bible reading. It's not always daily, but it's been daily lately. And after I finish this, I'm going to be very productive today. But we're going to go ahead and complete the book of Ruth, chapter 4 today, in regards to Ruth getting married to a man known as Boaz. Now, where we left off, Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, she seems to understand how the society works where she and Ruth have traveled to. She's realized that, hey, it's not a good idea for my daughter-in-law to be an unmarried foreigner in these lands. So Naomi thought about, okay, who am I related to over here? Who is decent? And she sent Ruth basically to most likely the best man that she knew in that area. And that was actually very kind of Naomi when you really think about it. Ruth didn't have to stick with Naomi after her husband died and after Naomi's husband and son. Naomi's son was Ruth's husband after they died. But Ruth and Naomi really liked each other, their mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. And it's interesting because in the media, movies, TV, and whatnot in our society today, for some reason, they always like to paint the idea of the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law dynamic not working out. But upon talking to, a few women who like to listen to my page by page reading and commentary of the Bible, they've reached out to me and they've told me, I really like my mother-in-law. Or if their mother-in-law has passed, they've said, I really loved my mother-in-law. So I don't know. I do feel that within the media, there are a lot of evil agendas to create divisiveness. I mean, we're seeing that nowadays, right? Just this past week when it comes to race relations within the United States. Recently, there was an assassination of someone who was known more so as being a political activist, but really he was pinned as being someone who might be a politician one day, but he's gone now. Was he saying a lot of things that were very thoughtless and hurtful and disenfranchising to many others who may not have looked like him or wanted to live a lifestyle like him? Yeah. Not everybody wants to be the same, but we all do need to have a level of respect for one another, and that's what's lacking. You know, as I look at the book of Ruth in the Bible, Ruth had a lot of respect for her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law had respect for her daughters-in-laws. Today, a lot of us need to have a lot more respect for each other. Not necessarily love, but respect. And that's what's lacking. It really is. What will be done about it? I don't know. I was thinking today, has the United States truly failed? Maybe. I mean, look at how it was conceived, on a bunch of lies, a bunch of criminal activity that today we look at being just, but it wasn't. The United States was founded on genocide. And I'm not knocking the United States. I'd definitely rather be here opposed to some other countries in the world. But still, when the European colonists came to the United States, between disease and weapon warfare, they wiped out the inhabitants who were already here. They did. Then, rather than creating the country themselves and doing their own work, they purchased slaves who had a hell of a time getting free. Now, here we are today with a bunch of people who are the descendants of the parties that experienced genocide and slavery, who have virtually forgotten about the atrocities, who are often feeding in to what could lead to more atrocities. And then you have the descendants of the people who engaged in the atrocities, complaining that they're not able to engage in the atrocities more easily than they already are. It's so bad. It is so bad. And then people wonder, oh, how come the powers that be won't acknowledge spiritual or extraterrestrial or interdimensional consciousness and beings? Because the majority of us don't deserve to experience such an event. That's why. So I know I went off on a tangent that's a little bit disappointed, because that's how I feel about the world at this point. I really am disappointed. I thought things were going to be a bit different around the time that I reached the age that I am right now, but it's not too late. I'm going to continue to try to make efforts to make this world a bit more tolerable for young people, even though I don't have any kids. And I'm actually glad I don't have any kids at this moment today, because I would not want to leave anybody behind in this world as it is at this moment. Not at all. Not at all. So anyway, let's go ahead and focus on what we need to focus on today, which is the book of Ruth. Now, yesterday I was questioning while reading chapter 3 in the book of Ruth, are there any other books in the modern English version of the Bible that have fewer chapters than this one? Because I'm a little disappointed in this book. I thought it was going to be longer because I've really enjoyed this book. So anyway, the answer is yes. And I'll tell you which books of the Bible do have fewer chapters. Not many, only 5. Obadiah, Philemon, John 2, John 3, and Jude. Each one of those books that I just named only has one chapter. There's a few books with only 3 chapters, but there's only 5 of them. Nahum, Habakkuk, Thessalonians, number 2, Titus, and Joel. So that's it. Only 10 other chapters have less, 10 other books in the Bible have less chapters than the book of Ruth. Hey, J-Dog, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good Saturday. Thanks for coming in here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Now, I also asked the AI if earlier versions of the Bible was the book of Ruth longer, but no, it's always been as it is. I was thinking that maybe it was truncated over the years, but at least the AI hasn't acknowledged that. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get started. The book of Ruth, chapter 4. Boaz marries Ruth. So here we go. So Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there. And behold, the Redeemer, of whom he had spoken, passed by. So Boaz said, "Come over, friend, and sit here." So he went over and sat down. Then Boaz took 10 men from among the elders of the town and said, "Sit here." So they sat down. He said to the Redeemer, "Naomi, who has come back from the land of Moab, must sell the plot of land belonging to our brother Elimelech. I thought I should inform you and say, buy it in the presence of those sitting here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you want to redeem it, redeem it. But if you will not redeem it, tell me so I know. For there is no one prior to you to redeem it, and I am next after you." So he said, "I will redeem it." Then Boaz said, "On the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you also acquire Ruth, the Moabitess, the wife of the deceased, to perpetuate the name of the deceased through his inheritance." The Redeemer replied, "I am not able to redeem it for myself, lest I ruin my own inheritance. Take my redemption rights for yourself, for I cannot do it." Now, this was the custom in ancient times in Israel for redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, a man would remove his sandal and give it to his neighbor. This was a binding act in Israel. Therefore, the Redeemer said to Boaz, "Buy it yourself," and he removed his sandal. All right, so as we learned in chapter 3 of the book of Ruth, Boaz, it doesn't explicitly say, but it does seem that Boaz is a bit older than Ruth. And I think that he felt like, hey, I will definitely be with this woman, but you know, I want someone else to have a chance. So that's what it seemed that Boaz did, but it looks like Ruth is going to end up with Boaz. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, "You are witnesses today that I have bought everything that belonged to Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon from Naomi. Moreover, I have also acquired Ruth, the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, to be my wife, in order to preserve the name of the deceased man for his inheritance, so that his name will not be cut off from among his brothers or from his town. You are witness this day." Then all the people who were at the gate, along with the elders, said, "We are witness. May the Lord make the woman who is coming to your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you do well in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. May your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, through the offspring that the Lord will give you by this young woman." All right, so now we're going to get into the genealogy of David. Hello, He-Man. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. I have a question for you, He-Man. Are you actually a woman? Because I've noticed in some of the other chats that I like to lurk in from time to time that people refer to you as a woman instead of a man. And I want to be clear on that. I'm curious because I'm not sure. Someone's recommending to me a book called Red Tint Novel. Okay, He-Man's recommending it. I'll look into that. You are female. Okay, why do you call yourself He-Man? I'm curious about that. Is it just because you feel like initially if people think that you're a guy, they're not going to be as mean to you? Because I do know some women who use masculine aliases for that reason on the internet. I was just wondering why you do. So while we're answering for He-Man's answer on that, let's go ahead and get into the genealogy of David. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When they came together, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer. May he become famous in Israel. He will be a comfort for your soul and support you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him." Yay! So, it does seem that socially and probably from a family perspective, it really worked out for Ruth and Naomi because Ruth, it seemed, was so concerned about her mother-in-law, Naomi, being alone and being depressed and feeling like, oh, I've lost everything. I might as well just end it all, but she didn't leave her mother-in-law. She could have, but she didn't. And her mother-in-law took care of her, made sure that she was established in her hometown, meaning Naomi, the mother-in-law's hometown, paired her with someone that she trusted, that maybe she even grew up with. And now, even though it's not technically a blood-related heir to Naomi, it's close enough. She's got a grandson. It actually is blood related to her when I think about it. Wow, because she's related to Boaz. So she does end up with a grandson, kind of. It's still her relative. She will consider it a grandson. And that Ruth most likely would let her, Naomi, dote on that child and, treat that child like it's her own son that she lost. So it's a beautiful story. I like this story. Okay, let's see what He-Man has to say about why she uses a male alias instead of a female. Okay, He-Man says, I was ranted and bashed live online by a male streamer. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's happened to me excessively, online, offline. A lot of men have been horrific to me when I really think about it over the years. It's almost making me tear up, and I don't know why. I'm going to pause for a moment because I want to thank God and Jesus Christ for giving me the experience of my father. My father's name was Ivan Mayers. My dad treated me incredibly well. He took very good care of me. Even after his death, he made sure that I'm okay. And from the other side, I know continues to do so. My dad treated a lot of women very well. My mother, even though they divorced, he treated her very well during their marriage, well, before their marriage, during their marriage, and after their marriage, despite certain disagreements. He treated her very well. He treated my sister well. He treated his sister, my aunt, incredibly well. He treated his mother very well. He treated women that he worked with incredibly well. He treated women that he didn't even know well. And to my knowledge, his partner, who's still with us, does the same. A lot of people didn't treat my dad very well, who should have. A lot of men in the society who claim to be all political and like, oh, we're all about the preservation of whatever it is that they believe that they are, which is all a crock of BS. Because even though I do like to talk about the reality of the hurt and the thoughtlessness of racism, the only freaking race is the human race. But you got these pockets of people who don't want to acknowledge that, which leads to women not being treated well. You got these jerks who don't treat anybody well, not even themselves, treating women that they claim that they want to protect badly when the women are not with men that they quote unquote approve of, due to those men maybe not looking like them. All those men engaging in what I just talked about, they're all frauds, and they're not real men, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what sexuality you are. It doesn't matter what race you think you are. It doesn't matter what culture it is that you come from. Treating others well is not hard, but it needs to be authentic, because it's making it to where a lot of people feel like, how in the world am I going to survive in this world when you have nobody treating others well? But I just wanted to interject with that, because I just had a wave of emotion come over me. But He-Man, I am sorry that someone treated you badly. And I'm sorry that people have treated me badly. And it's been a lot of men who have treated me badly. And then they wonder why I'm upset at times. Yeah. So let me look at what He-Man is continuing to say. He-Man and She-Ra were your favorite action figures in cartoons. As a kid, I used to like them too. You clarify in chat you are a real female. You don't pretend to be something that you're not. Okay. The only reason I knew is because I noticed that some people were saying that you were a woman in the chat. So I guess those are people that know you. I notice a lot of things. Okay. The Red Tent by Anita Diamant tells the story of Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, from the perspective of women in ancient times, with Dinah as the narrator. I will definitely look into that. Let me make a screenshot of what you just said so I remember. Okay. Alexandra, I have been a viewer of YouTube for over 11 years. Streaming and panels are fairly new to me. That male streamer ranting and bashing me, it felt like it was happening right in my face. I was shaken. It's hard when men come at you as a woman. I don't think some men realize it. There's some men who like to label themselves as white, who don't consider women who look like me, women who are Black or African American, as being real women, and they are especially cruel to us. I'm putting together some new websites to address some of these issues, and I know I'm going to deal with a lot of hate by bringing it to the forefront, because I'm going to name the names, the government names of the men online doing this kind of thing. And I know that I face danger by doing that, but I'm doing it, and I'm doing it because I want people to know who is who and who is saying what and who is prompting what. Um, I don't mention that person, Marty, because Marty encouraged a woman to lie to law enforcement about me. Marty was a very bad guy. I'm sure he was a good guy to some of you. To me, he was a bigot. He was a racist. He was a piece of garbage. And I do have the evidence of him coaching someone to lie to law enforcement specifically about me. I haven't posted it. I think maybe I'll post it this weekend. Let that be his legacy. To those of you who felt well about him, I don't challenge you on that, but some of us knew better when it came to what he is or was, and he's not on this planet anymore. I'll leave it at that, but let's continue with this. All right. So she finally had a son, very happy about that. Then Naomi took the child, laid him on her lap, and became his nurse. The neighbor women gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi," and they named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now, these are the descendants of Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Aminadab, Aminadab the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, Boaz the father of Obed, Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David. So that's the end of the book of Ruth. That's it. I guess it was a short book, but I really liked the book of Ruth a lot. This last chapter and talking to you, He-Man, in the chat got me a little emotional, got me thinking about certain things that I've contended with. Yeah, Gamble is someone I consider to be my friend. My hope for Gamble has been that he's been able to enjoy his youth because he took on a lot of responsibility but beyond his years, in my opinion, for a long time. I think incredibly well of Gamble, but that guy Marty, no, something was wrong with him, in my opinion. So, oh, it's okay, Scummy. You can always listen to the replay. And I have a whole playlist on this channel of all my readings of each page of the Bible. I can't believe how far we've come so far with this project. Tomorrow we'll go into chapter 1 of Samuel 1, which covers the birth of Samuel. So we're moving right along. We're still in the Old Testament. We have a ways to go before we get to the New Testament. The New Testament begins with the book of Matthew. So, you know what I feel like talking about today? I feel like talking about on maybe the IP2 Wiki Info channel. I want to talk about exactly why some men who define themselves as white nowadays are so adamantly hateful towards Blacks and African Americans. I feel like we're almost back in the times of segregation. It's getting so bad. And I do want to see if there's some people out there who will actually say to my face what their real fucking problem is with me. And I hate that I just cursed during this because I try not to curse or anything during these readings, but it came out because I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it, and I am not going to let my extended family, who are young people, grow up in a world to where they don't feel good about themselves due to what they look like. not going to die without making an effort to rectify that. No. So I'm still resting, getting myself together. As I've said, that's why I have traveled out to a very remote area where I am basically isolated, so I can really figure out how I feel truly, not only about myself, but about several issues in our society. I want to make sure that anger, sadness, other negative feelings I have are legitimate and not just selfish. I'm realizing that when it comes to a lot of political things going on, it's legitimate anger. And I am going to get myself very involved in politics over the next few years, because I have a lot less to lose than a lot of you out there who have families and whatnot. I don't have that. I was not blessed with that, but I was blessed with things that a lot of people don't have. So I need to definitely take stock of what all those things are and use them to the hilt to truly make this world a bit better. So that's it. Again, this installment was a bit emotional, but that's what came out today. I feel differently different days. Everyone take care. Thank you, Scum A, for coming in. Thank you, He-Man, who embodies a lot of She-Ra. Thank you for coming in. And make sure that all of you do subscribe to my other channels, because I'm about to get real busy. Not at the moment, but it's coming. And once I really get in the groove of getting busy, I don't stop. So take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.